Hi, hopefully you know who I am by now, Lisa Chrysler. It is the second season of Community Storytelling, and I am just so excited about talking to the gentleman I'm sitting with today because he's all about wine. And you know what? I'm all about wine. I don't get to drink it as much as I want to, but I love wine, and I know you're going to love to hear all of his stories. In fact, maybe you know him already, and maybe you've had his wine. Jerold O'Brien, and the owner of Silver Mountain Winery in the Santa Cruz Mountains.
Yes.
And you're off of?
Miller Hill Road,
Which is off
of San Jose Soquel Road.
Okay, so I'm driving 17. Where do I get off of?
Summit.
The Summit.
Summit is the main road, of course, in the mountains. For all activities in the mountains, start or end at Summit Road.
Okay. And is that where most of the wineries are, in the Santa Cruz Mountains?
Oh, no. Oh, no. Santa Cruz Mountains, there are 85 to 90 wineries.
Really?
Stretching all the way from Mount Madonna to the Half Moon Bay Highway.
Wow.
The Santa Cruz Mountains appellation, or AVA, American Viticulture Area, is one of the largest as far as total acres. For example, it's over 400,000 total acres, but one of the smallest as far as production of wine. That it's also rated as among the best in the country, but we do not, the wine writers quite often say it's the hidden gem of the wine industry in California, because the wines are as good as they get in the United States, but there's so little of it that it's not very well known.
So tell me about the name Silver Mountain Vineyards.
Oh, okay.
You've been waiting for that question.
I have. Well, first, the mountain part. My philosophy of life, I believe that people who live and work in the valley have a different philosophy of life than those that live and work in the mountains. And therefore, I wanted the name mountain to be prominent in the name, Silver Mountain Vineyards. The silver part is that in the early and mid 70s, I did a fair amount of gambling.
Where?
Through my broker.
Okay.
Gambling in the form of buying and selling commodity futures.
Okay.
Commodity futures is a form of gambling. But anyway, at that time, there was a lot of activity in silver futures, and I fortunately was able to make a profit on silver futures, and it was enough for a down payment on the property.
Wow. And there came the name.
The name Silver Mountain. Right.
And everybody calls it that name. It's just not something you do personally. Everybody knows it as Silver Mountain.
Yes.
Yes, I like it.
Yes.
I like it.
Yes.
So did you grow up, your family drank wine and you said, I'm going to get myself a winery? How does that happen?
Nobody in my family knew anything about wine or agriculture, either one. I'm the only one that is involved in this industry.
Do you have a college degree in agriculture?
No, no.
You weren't going to be an engineer or something?
No. I was a career military person. I flew in the Air Force for most of 20 years. And near the end of my Air Force career, I sought out land for which to grow grapes and eventually build a winery.
How would you even think of doing that, though? I mean, you had no business in that area.
True. The story is that as a young, very young, age 19, young person in the military, Friday night is a mandatory formation at the bar.
Oh, kind of like that.
So I learned to drink, and I learned that I enjoyed wine more so than beer and spirits. And as I progressed through the military, becoming an officer and a pilot and flying throughout many parts of the world, I sought out wines of the local area as to why this wine was different than that wine. And it was an interest that continued to grow, an interest that grew to where I wanted to be based in the San Francisco area so that I could continue my interest in wine and the wine industry.
Did you grow up in the Bay Area?
No. Before I came to the land, which is now Silver Mountain, I never lived in any one place more than 2 or 3 years.
So what state did you grow up in?
Many.
Many, okay.
I'm originally from Sacramento.
All
It
right.
was my family home. But as I say, I lived there for maybe 3 or 4 years. And we lived in Illinois, New Jersey, Southern California, several places. And
Wow.
then that is where we lived when I enlisted in the Air Force and then went on to pilot training and officer training.
You're talking to a girl who lived in the same house until she moved out when it was college time. From the age of 3 till what?
Yes.
18.
Yes.
Lived in the same house. And here I am. I'm still in this area. Never left. And you also grow organic grapes.
I do.
And I don't think many wineries do.
Well, you're quite right. My vineyard is certified organic, has been for 35 years. And for the first 25 of the last 35 years, I was the only certified organic vineyard in all the Santa Cruz Mountains, which is approximately 200 vineyards now. 85 wineries, 200 vineyards.
Why organic?
It's part of my philosophy of life. My basic philosophy is to live my life in harmony with Mother Nature,
Love it.
period. And I've felt this way, believed in this concept for quite a few years. So when I first started planting grapes, I did not realize that my farming methods were called organic until 6 or 8 years after I planted and was growing the vineyard.
So it may seem like a silly question because maybe I should know the answer, but what is really the difference between organic grapes and non-organic grapes?
The basic difference is with an organic vineyard, you cannot use any synthetic chemicals and materials. Everything has to be natural. That's the basic difference. There's a lot of little nitpicking details, but the bottom line is only organic materials.
And what's the taste difference? That's okay. You can brag about your winery.
I don't know if anybody can taste the difference between organically grown and conventionally grown or sustainably grown or otherwise. There are several other strict farming methods. Demeter is one organization that governs farming methods as well. But the bottom line is you would expect more intense flavor in wines that came from grapes that are grown organically or sustainably.
Your specialty would be, I hope, Pinot Noir, my favorite, maybe?
Well, we grow Chardonnay and Pinot Noir on our vineyard, on our estate vineyard. We have about 10 acres of vines, and we buy probably 70% of our grapes and use 30% of our estate. And we produce Pinot Noir from 4 different vineyards, and they're all vineyard designated. They're all different. We also produce Chardonnay and a Bordeaux style blend.
Ooh, that sounds tasty.
Yes.
Now, not only do you own Silver Mountain Winery for the last 40 years, you have been the winemaker, have you not?
Yes, originally founder, owner, winemaker. In fact, as you allude, I'm the oldest and the senior. Hate to say oldest. I'm the senior owner winemaker in all the Santa Cruz Mountains.
Not bad at the age of 39. Not bad, huh? Not bad. I like that.
Right.
So, how did you even learn how to make wine? I mean, it's not like you get a recipe book out.
True. I'm still learning.
You're
However,
still learning. I don't think so.
How I started was volunteering to work at other wineries. When I was living in the Bay Area earlier and near the end of my Air Force career, in my spare time, I would visit other wineries, volunteer to work, help them. I was grunt labor for a number of wineries for several years and apprenticed in their winery and pretty much learned that way.
And now you're laughing. Yeah, I was their grunt labor. Look at me now. Look at me now. And they're probably crying. Why didn't we tell him to become part of us? I mean, are you all friendly? You know, you mentioned, did you say 85 wineries or 200 wineries? You threw out 2 numbers.
Yeah, 85 wineries, approximately 200 vineyards.
Okay. Are you all friendly or are you just all competitors?
We're much more friendly than we are our competitors. For example, in the early days, when I became involved in the Santa Cruz Mountain Wine Growers Association, which I helped found in 79 and 80, there were 20 wineries. And we had meetings every 2 months, and we were all very friendly, very helpful. The only thing we ever competed on was shelf space in the store. As far as winemaking, we all helped each other. We were all there for advice, for borrowing equipment, whatever you needed to produce the wine. We're all working together as a community, if you will. However, over the years, that has changed a bit. Among other things, at that time, 79, there were 385 wineries total in California.
385
wineries total in California. Today, there's almost 5,000 wineries in California, and double that in the United States.
And yeah, well, my youngest daughter lives in Lodi,
Yes.
which is the up and coming
Absolutely.
wine area for
Right.
California.
Right.
They do
One of many,
Zinfandels,
yes.
though. Yes, yes. So your friends, I assume, when tragedies happen, when trouble happens, you all help out. So I'm going to go back to, you started in 1979. 10 years later, we had the Loma
yes.
Prieta earthquake, and
Yes.
I can't even imagine what your place was like.
Well, it was gone.
It was gone.
Bottom line.
The winery, and you live at the winery, right?
I do. My house was right next door to the winery.
Oh my goodness.
And the winery and 3 years actually, of production were totally destroyed and lost. The structure that was my home was severely damaged. So the next year, 1990, I reverted to part-time winemaker, full-time construction person. And I rebuilt the structure, which is now part my home. It's what they call a joint use building, part residential, part commercial. I live in part of that building, and then a good portion of it is used for business activities, tasting room, office, storage, wine shop, shop,
Yes.
things like that. And then, so I was able to finish that in about a year and a half or so. And then next door, I rebuilt a new winery, which actually took me 15 years.
Wow.
I built it in stages. The first year or so, I built the basic features so we could at least store barrels inside of a basic cave-like structure. But over the 15 years, I built a structure that is the most sustainable structure I'm aware of anywhere.
Well, that goes with your
It does.
your philosophy of life.
It does.
I would expect you to have that.
And on our website, we say that we're a leader in organic and sustainable practices.
So you talk so calmly about it now, but I can't imagine back in 1989 you were this calm. I mean, you saw your dream. I mean, did you lose all of the wine you had? Everything?
I lost everything that was in the winery. Now, I also had some case goods stored in the basement of what was a house, so to speak. Most of that was salvageable. Many broken bottles. Most of the case goods were salvageable. We packed a lot of cases, took out 1 or 2 broken bottles, repacked the full one. So another maybe 2 years worth of production was salvaged from that.
Had to be a lot of tears.
A lot of work.
Yeah.
A lot of work.
Yeah.
A lot of sadness, a lot of grief, but a lot of
Yeah.
work and a lot of what do I do now
Right.
type of thing. So
Right.
it took me 6 months after the earthquake before I decided that
Oh,
I truly did want to get back in the wine business. And that's when I formulated the plan to build these new structures and to build facilities wherein visitors would enjoy themselves and go away with a very positive feeling in the back of their mind.
and they do.
They do.
I can tell from your website they do. Where do we find Silver Mountain wine? Other than coming to the winery.
Okay. We sell very little of it. In fact, we sell none to stores. at
All right.
Retail stores. We sell a little bit to restaurants and wine bars. Here locally, there's Terry Hope's Los Gatos Coffee and Wine Bar
We love Terry.
is our primary wine bar outlet here. We have wine bars in several different communities. But the vast majority of wine is sold directly to consumers, which means people come to our 2 tasting rooms
Yes.
and our wine club and our website.
Is it a good living? I guess so. You're dressed very nicely. Is it a good living being in the wine business?
No,
No, it's not.
it's not profitable. It is a way of life.
Yes.
It's a way of life that I appreciate.
Yes.
Unfortunately, I have my military retirement, and I have some other investments that have paid off to where I can afford this way of life.
You can afford your passion
Yes.
and what makes you happy, and that's
Yes.
wonderful. Before I let you go, so Los Gatos, I know you love the town of Los Gatos.
I do.
You're very generous to Los Gatos. What is it with you in Los Gatos? Tell me.
Well, I started here. This is, after I bought the property, my wife and I at the time, I was married then, and we had a young son, 2 years old. We moved from San Francisco to the Los Gatos area. We lived here for about 3 years before we were able to move up on the mountain. During that time, my wife, Theodora, started Fine Foods and Cheese right here in Los Gatos on Santa Cruz Avenue.
Yes.
In the late 70s, 77, 78, 79, there was a store called Theodora's Fine Foods and Cheese. And it was a quality foods, cheese, catering business. We operated that store together for, it's about 3 or 4 years. Then we divorced, and I bought her out of the winery, and she
got the store.
She got the store.
Wow. So I know that you have been such a great supporter of Jazz on the Plaz for a decade, maybe?
15 years, yes.
15 years. And you give generously, and I hope you go every year and enjoy it.
Well, when I'm pouring wine there, I'm there obviously, and I get to hear a little bit of the music. Mostly I'm talking to the customers, or they're talking to me and telling me what they like or do not like about the wines that we're pouring. But I do enjoy the music on the side, so to speak.
It's such an amazing community gathering.
Oh, it is. It is. It's. I love the concept of this free quality music that is available to anybody that wants to come and enjoy it. It's a great concept.
It really is, and I'm so glad you're part of it. So you've said Terry Hope twice now. I mentioned her once. We have got to get her on the show. I'm going to leave it up to you. We have got to get her on the show. I mean, everybody loves her roasting house. We got to get her here. So I got to find out, how much wine do you drink? Is that a loaded question?
No. Let me say that nowadays I drink a lot less than I used to. When I was my 40s, 50s, even 60s, I drank a fair amount of wine. But the last number of years, decade maybe, I'm down to maybe 3 nights a week.
Okay. And how many on 3 nights a week? 2 glasses? Half a
Anywhere-
bottle?
Yeah, two, 3, 4 glasses.
Yeah, okay, 2 glasses is half a bottle, technically, I think, right?
It depends. Some nights it's only 1, 2 glasses. Sometimes it's 3 or 4 glasses.
And you're still a winemaker. Don't you have to taste while you go along?
Oh,
No?
yes.
Yes.
Oh,
Yes.
But usually we spit
Yeah, yes.
when we're tasting.
I've done that too. Not very feminine though. But you are a delight, and I can't wait to come up to your winery. I've gone on your website. You have a wonderful website. You have so many fabulous events.
Thank you.
And your story is just wonderful. You know, I've never heard of somebody who, sitting at the bar when you were like 19 years old in the Army days, drinking wine. I don't think anybody drank wine back there. So you knew. You knew
Air
then.
Force.
Air Force. Oh, well, they're all good. But you knew back then. You knew back then, and that's wonderful.
I did.
And I've just got to say, I've been sitting here talking to you for about 20 minutes. You look like a much younger Kirk Douglas. Has anybody told you that?
No, because I'm missing the...
Well, you are, but that's okay. That's okay. You have been a delight. Jerold O'Brien, I can't wait to come up to Silver Mountain Winery. Are you there every day?
Most every day, but the winery is open for visitors only on Saturdays.
Okay.
It's a permit situation where the county that issues the permits is very stingy on who can be open, when, and that sort of thing. I hope in another 2 or 3 months the regulations will change, as I've been helping to rewrite the regulations for the last 6 or 8 years, and I'll be open a few more days. But currently it's Saturday afternoons.
Who is that? The Planning Commission?
Exactly.
The Planning Commission of Los Gatos?
No, this is actually, I'm just barely over the line in Santa Cruz County. Just off of Summit Road. As you know, Summit Road is the county line.
Well, we'll keep our fingers crossed for you, but you never know. I might come knocking on your door.
Anytime.
You have that bottle ready.
Anytime.
Pinot.
I do.
Wonderful, Jerold O'Brien. This has just been the best. I think I'm going to have to go find some wine someplace. What about you? Well, we'll talk about that later. Community storytelling. This is what it's all about, because truly, you all have a story, and they're fabulous stories, and they're so much fun to listen to. So I want you to go online, nominate yourself, nominate a friend, and let's just do that at kcat.org. And boy, thanks for being with us today at KCAT TV 15.